Welcome back. Thank you very much. Let's have a conversation about railway in Ghana. You know that the minister in charge of railway, Mr. Jogat, has been making a lot of statements. We have a lot of hopes, but how can we actualize it and make it real? Well, Vincent Annan is the Asiedu-Dartey Chamber of Commerce CEO, and Christopher Shopman is a HFC Hamburg Part Consulting from Germany. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank
Good morning.
you.
How are you doing?
Not bad, and you?
What's the state of our railway system in Ghana at the point, to the extent that it impacts on our economy, for example?
Yes, I would say that it's virtually grounded. Yes, we hear that seldomly there is some lifting of manganese from Insuta to the Takoradi port, but it's not that regular. And so it's for us, it's not functioning.
Right.
The railway sector entirely is grounded.
It's gone comatose.
Yes.
Interesting. But Vincent, Christoph, in Germany, where you come from,
yes,
there's a very vibrant rail system there.
Yeah,
Largely.
Yeah, to most part, yeah.
Exactly. Now, is it possible to transpose what we have there and bring it here so we can have society move faster?
So that's something, it's a good question, and it's not so easy to answer. I would say there's no copy and paste approach for whatever rail system in the world to transfer it just like that to another country. But certainly there's big opportunities with rail in Ghana, as just when you compare some of the numbers, Germany has a rail network of 40,000 kilometers, for example. The whole of Africa has something around 80,000 kilometers, so that's twice the network of Germany, but Africa is like 80 times bigger than Germany. So that's that puts it into relation a bit already. Interesting.
Why are you focusing your public lecture on the rail? Is it any of your concern as a Chamber of Commerce? Is it any of your concern?
Yes, it's of that grave concern because in time past, life within Asiedu-Dartey and most parts of the western region, Takwa and Huni Valley areas, were revolving around the railway sector. Yes, when we were kids, we saw trains coming. We could just go to the harbour area, harbour view area, and be counting the number of coaches coming in and out. So actually, life was good in the days, and it provided business avenues and opportunities to Asiedu-Dartey. So currently, as a local Chamber of Commerce and Industry, focusing on promoting the business agenda of the city and communities around. We think that the absence of this or the collapse of this sector has had a huge impact on businesses.
On a scale of 0 to 100, how would you say it's affected our economy?
For the entire economy, I'll think that up to 60%.
60%. And for businesses like yours, your members in the chamber, what's been the impact? Negative, positive?
Negative.
By what percentage?
Similar.
60%
yeah,
as well?
Similar. Yes. Because it provided, if it's revitalized today, we can talk of warehousing, we can talk of internet service provision along the line, we can talk of cafeteria services at the various points, we can talk of multiple of, or it has a whole supply chain.
Let me ask you, Christoph.
And just to support that, maybe if I may, in the port of Hamburg, which is one of the biggest ports in Europe, and it's a strong railway port, the biggest railway port in Europe. There, without the rail connection, the port wouldn't maybe even there, or it at least wouldn't be as big as it is today. So there's a lot of service related to the port, like warehousing, etc. So the same is the case in Hamburg, really. Yes, the same as Vincent said.
Tell me, you are an expert in this field. What do we need to do, having looked at the topology and everything else in Ghana? What do we need to do to get to that level where it becomes beneficial for us? For example, in your country, if we're trying to make a rail line and we get to a mountain, we go through it, we don't go around it. Here in Ghana, we go around it. What do we need to do? Tell me.
Well, but it depends. So it's not always that you go through every mountain with a tunnel. It might also make sense to go around it. So it really needs to be taken a look at very thoroughly. So you need to analyze.
You have studied our system. What do we need to do? Give me 3 top of your mind things that we need to do.
So what I would imagine to be very vital to the country at first point is connecting the cities, so the big agglomerations, in order to create mobility within the country, and even from this country, from Ghana to the neighboring countries, because mobility is a big facilitator of growth. So this is point number 1. And the second point to me would also be the inner city transportation, to improve that, so that people within the agglomerations are mobile and can go better to their job and avoid the congestion. And another point, also in the inner cities, but also on the city connections, is the safety aspect.
So if we decide to go heavy on rail system, how much pollution can it, for example, save us? Because cars are all over the place, traffic situation heavy. What would it save us? In terms of money, in terms of pollution and all of that.
Yeah, that's another good point. Safety was one aspect. So rail obviously has far less casualties as the road transportation, but the environment is another factor, and so there's big gainings on that, like reducing of climate gases, etc. So in the ports, there's also a lot of initiatives going for green ports. So there is really a high potential of savings. Don't hit me on the numbers right now, so that needs to be analyzed very thoroughly. But there is a big potential also for the environment.
Let me bond this into one for you, Vincent. Tell me, you have told me why the chamber is interested in this, but this lecture, what form would it take? This public lecture?
Yes, basically, the key activity is a keynote address from the Ministry of Railway and Development, and then we'll have a panel to attack or discuss the issues arising out of the keynote address. For the panel, we have one managing director, former managing director of Ghana Railway Corporation, who will be on the panel, Christoph himself, and Mr. Abekwata, an urban transport specialist. So they will discuss issues arising out of the keynote address.
Will there be a communique after the
Yes,
lecture?
we will have a position paper. Yes. So after the discussion, or in the course of it, we allow contributions and questions and all of those from participants. We are inviting key stakeholder organizations, the Manganese, Ghana Bauxite, all of those who railway is very.
Will the chiefs be there as well?
Pardon?
Will the chiefs be there as well?
Yes, the chiefs will be there.
Because you're going to run through their towns.
Yes, Nana Komnan Katia will chair.
Escado
will chair, and you know, Escado was more or less the railway point.
Exactly. Yes. So when is this lecture?
It's on Friday.
Coming Friday.
Yes, morning at 9 a.m. at the Rainbow International Hotel in Takoradi.
Wow.
Interestingly, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has also expressed strong interest in this lecture and activities, and so they would also want to make a presentation on the importance of the revitalization to the ports.
Quick and final question to you is that the president said we must move from aid to trade, which means that we're looking at trying to finish most of our raw materials here. So we don't have to lift bauxite from here and take it out there. We don't have to lift gold, manganese, and all of that. When we revitalize the rail system, is it going to, and now that the ports are expressing interest, are we going to continue lifting raw materials out of the country, which is cheaper and makes us lose more money? Is that what we're going to do? Is that the plan?
Not necessarily so, because some
when you say not necessarily so, it means that there's a high potential.
Yeah, there will still be exports. As a country, we are looking at
of raw materials.
Now we're going into export of manufactured goods. So if you take the lumbering sector, the timber sector, what the system is now is to export processed timber. Now we are looking at, or we have to look at, not even processed wood, but furnitures. You see, yeah, we have to look at that.
So we're moving away from the Guggisberg economy.
Yes.
Right.
So
that's exactly what I also thought about, that Yeah, you have the railroad, or you might have the railroad, and then you continue just exporting resources, and that's, I think, not the good way to only do that, but it needs to be a mixture, because once the railroad is there...
What makes it perfect? Raw materials, what percentage of raw material, percentage of finished product?
I think there is not really a number that you can say it's like 30% or 50 or so. It depends really, and it needs to be developed over time. So once you start, just first we'll continue exporting a lot of raw materials, but you should put a lot of emphasis also on producing, on manufacturing, etc., to have a good mixture, and then you can also use the rail line to transport the containers back to the port. So that's it's not useless then.
That's Christoph Schoppmann. He came all the way from Germany to help us figure out how we can get our rail system revitalized from Hamburg, Part Consulting, and Vincent Ananes, the CEO of the Secondie Takoradi Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, gentlemen.